If you want a wide lens on the mining sector, you would be hard pressed to do better than Chen Lin. Chen is a well regarded newsletter writer who not only covers resource stocks, but energy and biotechnology. Chen will be a headliner at the Silver Symposium in Spokane later this month. Chen, welcome back to Kitco.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Chen, let's start with the big macro story. You do have roots and connections in China. The markets were shocked by the People's Bank of China interest rate cuts at the start of the week. What's the macro situation?
It's deteriorating. The housing bubble is finally popping. There's a serious problem, a lot of empty apartment. And also in the housing bubble, when the housing price going up, people has no problem. They bidding up the apartment even before they finish construction. Okay, now the problem is there are a lot of consumers who paying mortgage, but their house is still being built, their apartment is still being built, but the builder is running out of money. So builder stop building. So they are paying for something that's virtual. Does not exist. So that's created a serious problem. So the economy is slowing down. So the government, again, Xi is aiming his third term. So he want to see people happy. You want to see, the economy going well. So they're cutting interest rate. They're aggressively doing stimulus. And this time around, actually, Chinese government getting a little bit smarter. They know it's no use to put these empty apartments to build even more, blow even bigger bubble. So they're focused more on the future, more on the, for example, energy front, because very high oil price. China really want to be independent from the energy independent or semi-independent. At least if we can talk about that. If there were any war breakout between United States and China, Chinese oil route from Persian Gulf will be cut. The only oil will coming from Russia, right? So that's very big fear in China. So they're aggressively pushing for alternative energy, like the wind, solar, especially solar actually a very big boost, and some nuclear as well. But nuclear has the issue with that in case there's a war, the nuclear power plant may not be very safe, like we're seeing in Ukraine right now.
How important is the Chinese market to miners?
Extremely important. If you watch, I've been following that for the past 20 some years. So every bull market in the commodity in the past 20 years, always led by China. Always the demand of China actually started. If you remember, copper used to be trading at 70 cents for a long time until China started building up the infrastructure. They need a lot of copper. And people were shorting copper when they hit $1. This is incredible. It's too high. The price is too high. Remember that. And now it's still copper, even with this recession, with this market turmoil, copper still 350 range. I think copper probably will go higher once everything is settled.
I'm hearing two stories right now, Chen. I mean, this sounds very serious, especially if the economic situation continues to deteriorate because, we had the COVID shutdowns, which was a bit of a blow, and that was a couple of months ago. Now we're seeing a compounding of bad news. But I think also on the flip side, it looks like the drive into energy independence would be, how would you say, that would be wind at the back or something that the miners could look forward to.
Yeah, it's very complicated. Also depends on if you think there will be a war in Taiwan or not, because recently the Nancy Pelosi visit really stirred up the region. And if you listen to Putin's recent speech, he was so happy. He couldn't help to show his he's pleased. He's very pleased that Pelosi visit. So China may come to help him. He's over here against Ukraine. Russia is buying the drone from Turkey, right? Because they are running out of ammunition. China has a lot of drones, not willing to sell them. Maybe he can get some Chinese drone from now. So that really opened up a lot of questions. I'm talking to a lot of people in China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, all the area. There is a real possibility the war in Taiwan could break out now. Though that will have a serious impact to the market, to everything. Okay, so it depends on your time frame. It depends on your assessment. So generally, people think probably is 2 years away, maybe more. The reason is China is building up military. So in 2 years, probably 2 to 3 years, China would have as powerful navy in the area as United States. The reason is that the shipbuilding industry in United States has been destroyed. If you know that, that was almost 50 years ago. Used to be very powerful by all these union, all these regulations. So United States building the Navy, right? Each vessels, China can build 10, 5 to 10, similar. So you think about it, if time pass in a few years, China will be has as strong, powerful Navy as United States in that area. So that's generally calculation. That's people are thinking, okay, if you agree on that, 2 to 3 years, so that's actually, we may have a huge commodity boom coming in the next few years. But of course, that's based on that assumption.
So what is what are the roots though of that commodity boom with the way that things are unfolding right now? What happens, Chen?
Well, think about that. If you first you build a military needs a lot of material, okay, in both sides, the United States and China, and also the infrastructure. And what I'm looking at very closely is the solar industry in China. It's going gangbusters. It's taking off like a Tesla. It's taking off like electrical cars. If you look at those, and then if you look at the demand, especially for me, I look at the demand of silver will at least triple or quadruple in the next few years. Okay, you can look at it. There's a new report by International Energy Agency, IEA. You can look at that report. The silver demand is going much higher, but they are based on the wrong assumption from our Silver Institute. Because Silver Institute assumption, if you look at IEA report, silver loading factor in solar panel will go down. That's where their assumption, they think silver will use 1/3 less silver. But if you look at all the technology coming in order to make a solar panel more efficient, more last longer, the silver load factor is exploding. So we not only see solar panel going up, the loading factor, that is how much silver needed for each solar panel, also going up in the same time. So that could create a very serious silver shortage in the coming years. I'm quite excited about silver.
Talk about that. I mean, we always hear about substitution, and then that's something that you hear about in electric vehicles, for instance. So, cobalt was
Yes.
becoming a material that was difficult, dealing with the DRC and then also its prices. And so now you're seeing, iron-based batteries, which are kind of coming to the fore to kind of escape that issue. Why aren't you worried about substitution in the silver space, Chen?
That's a very good question. Remember, we're trying to substitute lithium for the past 10 years. It still haven't, right? Lithium is the lightest molecule, lightest atom, just for the solid, for solid level, not the hydrogen, not helium, next is lithium, right? So there's no substitution of that. I was on CNBC 7 years ago talking about lithium, and then the anchor asked me, what is lithium? They have no idea. Actually, the boom was happening because I saw the boom in China happening. Silver is the best conductor. Silver is best. You cannot find any better conductor than silver. In order to make a solar panel more efficient, in order to generate more electricity, you need a lot of silver. The point is they need more and more silver. And most importantly, the solar panel cost is a very small part of the solar farm project. You need a battery, you need a transmission line, you need a controller, you need a maintenance, you need a lot of other things. Solar panel generally is only 10% of the whole solar farm's cost, right? So if you reduce the efficiency even by a few percent, it's not worth it. That's the problem. So if you substitute silver, most of time people find the efficiency will come down. Of course, there are always people trying to do. So maybe in 10 years, they will find a substitution. We'll see. Right now, there are sodium battery coming. sodium to replace lithium, and it's being mass produced right now. So I think lithium space is maybe a little bit overheat, but silver is just coming up.
Silver miners are beaten up right now. Can you just talk about the supply picture for silver, Chen?
Yeah, the supply has been very stable, about 1 billion ounce per year in the past many years, because silver usually coming from the byproduct of the zinc, of lead mine, they produce a lot of other metals. And then we have a surplus of silver. I mean, I'm an investor. I don't believe the ETF demand is real demand. Okay, I take those out. I'm just taking a real demand of silver. So the supply always a little bit oversupply every year. But the solar panel demand has been going up from 5% to 10% recently to 13% of total silver production. I think we'll go to 20, we'll go to 30. Then that will have a deficit. First time in long time, we have a deficit in silver. That will not only push up silver price, also reduce the gold-silver ratio. Gold-silver ratio is way too high. Okay, approaching 100 is way too high. So I think that's another thing to look at it. And the silver potentially can have a boom for the next decade, a long-term boom. Okay, it's not like last time silver hit 50 and everybody sold and people think, oh, we're so smart. Remember that about 2012. I sold some at 49, so I feel very smart even after so many years. But I don't think this time will be like that. It just spike and come down. It will just continue to go up. And then people sold at 30 at 40, think they are very smart. And then they look back, they will regret it.
Lastly, Chen, are there any ideas or picks that you want to share?
Oh, I have, I mentioned there's a lot of junior mining I cover in my newsletter, but junior is quite illiquid, but you can do the silver junior mining ETF, right? SILJ, yeah, silver mining ETF. And also, if you want to be safe, the producer are also very cheap. I have Max Silver, I even have some Hecla. So those very good balance sheet, they have very high leverage to silver. So that's you can consider they are trading at a very low. They're pricing much lower silver price than the current silver is, which is around 20. So you don't need to worry about dilution, and also you have the leverage to silver price.
Chen, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
He's Chen Lin. He runs Chen Picks. He's going to be a headliner at the Silver Symposium in Spokane later this month. My name is Michael McRae. You're watching Kitco Mining.